The Xenos Empire had dominated the galactic landscape for millennia, subjugating countless civilizations under their iron-fisted rule. Their armada of sleek, angular warships was a sight to behold, bristling with the latest in alien military technology. As the Xenos scouts detected the small human fleet venturing into their territory, the commanders aboard the flagship, HFY let out a collective scoff. "Look at those primitive vessels," sneered Fleet Admiral Psylocke. "They are no match for the might of the Xenos Empire." The human ships were indeed dwarfed by the towering Xenos vessels, their compact frames and utilitarian design a stark contrast to the elegant, sweeping curves of the alien craft. But unbeknownst to the Xenos, these primitive ships concealed a technological marvel, the result of decades of covert research and development by the brightest minds of humanity. At the helm of the human fleet was Commander Michael Harrington, a seasoned naval officer with a reputation for unconventional thinking. When the Xenos ships emerged on the edge of the sensor array, Harrington remained calm, his steely gaze fixed on the tactical display. "All ships, maintain formation and await my orders," he said, his voice betraying no hint of concern. The Xenos commanders, assured of their supremacy, decided to make a grand display of force. The flagship HFY and its escorts surged forward, their mighty engines propelling them with ease through the void of space. Weapons ports opened, and the ships trained their firepower on the human vessels. "Puny humans," Psylocke's voice crackled over the comms. "Surrender now, and we may spare your lives. Resist, and you will be utterly destroyed." Harrington's eyes narrowed as he studied the Xenos ships, his mind racing. The Xenos had made a critical mistake in revealing the full extent of their arsenal so early. He knew that his ships, while smaller, were equipped with a revolutionary drive system and a suite of advanced defensive capabilities, technologies that Xenos had yet to encounter. "All ships, prepare to engage," Harrington ordered, his tone calm and measured. "Activate stealth fields and hold your positions." The human vessels shimmered and vanished from the Xenos sensors, their advanced cloaking devices rendering them all but invisible. The Xenos commanders stared in bewilderment, their taunting voices replaced by uneasy silence. "Where have they gone?" Psylocke demanded, his brow furrowed in confusion. "Find them and annihilate them." The Xenos ships surged forward, their powerful sensors sweeping the surrounding space. But the human vessels had disappeared, their unique drive systems allowing them to maintain a stealthy, stationary position. Moments later, a series of brilliant flashes erupted from the void, as the human ships unleashed a barrage of energy beams and missile salvos. The Xenos vessels, caught off guard, struggled to respond, their heavy armor and shields buckling under the relentless assault. "Impossible!" Psylocke roared, watching helplessly as his ships sustained heavy damage. "How are they doing this?" Harrington's lips curled into a slight smile as he observed the Xenos panic. "They mocked the tiny fleet," he murmured, "until they realized it was human ships." The human commander had deliberately allowed the Xenos to approach, luring them into a false sense of security. Now, with their defenses down, the human vessels unleashed the full power of their advanced weaponry, carving a path through the Xenos armada. Psylocke's mind raced, trying to make sense of the situation. These primitive human ships were displaying capabilities that far exceeded anything that Xenos had encountered. The fleet's vaunted technology, once considered unassailable, was proving woefully inadequate against this unexpected foe. As the battle raged, the Xenos commanders realized with growing dread that they had severely underestimated their human adversaries. The human fleet, far from being a trivial nuisance, had emerged as a formidable force to be reckoned with. Harrington watched impassively as the Xenos ships attempted to flee, their once proud hulls battered and scarred. "All ships, cease fire," he ordered, his voice betraying a hint of satisfaction. "Let them carry the message of our capabilities back to their homeworld." The human fleet maintained its position, its advanced sensors tracking the Xenos vessels as they rapidly retreated beyond weapons range. Harrington knew that this encounter was only the beginning. The Xenos would return, and they would be better prepared. But for now, humanity had delivered a decisive blow, shattering the invincible image of the Xenos Empire. As the human ships disappeared from the Xenos sensors, Psylocke's hands trembled with a mixture of fear and fury. "This is not over," he vowed, his gaze fixed on the distant stars. "We will return, and we will crush these upstart humans once and for all." The Xenos fleet, battered and humiliated, limped back to their home system, their vaunted technological superiority shattered by the unexpected display of power from the human ships. Fleet Admiral Tyloth paced the bridge of the flagship, his mandibles clicking furiously as he replayed the battle footage. "Unacceptable," he growled, his clawed fingers clenching into fists. "Those pathetic humans should not have been able to inflict such damage on our forces. We must retaliate and crush them before they can pose a true threat to the Xenos Empire." The other Xenos commanders, still reeling from the shock of their defeat, murmured in agreement. They had underestimated the humans, and that mistake had cost them dearly. Now their pride and their ambitions burned with a renewed desire for vengeance. Psylocke turned to his lieutenants, his eyes narrowing. "Assemble the full might of our fleet," he ordered. "We will return to the humans' territory and show them the true power of the Xenos Empire. This time, they will not escape." Deep in the human-controlled system, Commander Michael Harrington studied the reports from the previous engagement, his brow furrowed in concentration. The Xenos had retreated, but he knew they would return, and in greater force. His crew, emboldened by their unexpected victory, were eager to test their mettle against the alien invaders once more. "Sir, the Xenos fleet has been detected on the edge of our sensors," reported Lieutenant Samantha Wilkins, her voice tense with anticipation. "It appears to be a much larger force than before." Harrington nodded, his gaze fixed on the tactical display. "Hail the Xenos flagship and open a channel," he said, his tone calm and measured. Moments later, the imposing figure of Fleet Admiral Tyloth appeared on the view screen, his mandibles clicking in a display of aggression. "Humans," he growled, "you have had your moment of triumph, but your luck has run out. Surrender now, or be utterly destroyed." Harrington regarded the Xenos commander with an unwavering stare. "Fleet Admiral Tyloth, I must commend you on your resilience. However, I would caution you against underestimating us again." Tyloth let out a harsh bark of laughter. "Underestimate you? Impossible. We have seen the extent of your so-called advanced technology, and it is nothing compared to the might of the Xenos Empire. You have been granted a reprieve, human, but now your time has come to an end." The Xenos fleet surged forward, their powerful engines propelling them towards the human ships with alarming speed. Harrington's crew tensed, their hands gripping the controls of their vessels, ready to unleash the full force of their arsenal. "All ships, hold your positions," Harrington commanded, his voice betraying no hint of concern. "Maintain a tight formation and prepare to engage on my mark." The Xenos vessels closed in, their weapons ports opening as they trained their firepower on the human fleet. Tyloth's mandibles curved into a smug grin, his confidence buoyed by the sheer size and firepower of his armada. "Humans, your time is up," he announced, his voice echoing through the communication channels. "Prepare to be annihilated." Harrington's eyes narrowed as he watched the Xenos ships approach, his mind racing with a plan. He knew that the Xenos were confident in their ability to overwhelm the human fleet, but he also knew that they had yet to see the full extent of his crew's skills and the capabilities of their advanced technology. "All ships, activate defensive countermeasures and hold your positions," Harrington ordered, his voice betraying a hint of anticipation. "Let the Xenos come to us." The human vessels shimmered and disappeared from the Xenos sensors, their cloaking devices once again rendering them invisible. Tyloth's triumphant expression quickly turned to one of confusion and anger. "What sorcery is this?" he demanded, his clawed hands gripping the armrests of his command chair. "Where have they gone?" Harrington's lips curled into a slight smile as he watched the Xenos fleet hesitate, their sensors struggling to penetrate the human ship's advanced stealth systems. "They mocked the tiny fleet," he murmured, "and now they will pay the price for their arrogance." With a silent nod, Harrington gave the order to unleash the human fleet's devastating firepower. The void of space erupted in a blaze of energy as the human vessels emerged from their cloaked positions, their weapons blazing with precision and fury. Xylot's eyes widened in horror as his fleet was once again subjected to a relentless barrage, their shields and armor crumbling under the onslaught. "Impossible," he roared, his claws tearing at the console as he desperately tried to regain control of the situation. But the human commander had outmaneuvered him, and the Xenos fleet was trapped, unable to escape the withering assault. Harrington watched impassively as the Xenos ships succumbed to the human onslaught, their proud hulls reduced to burning wrecks. As the battle drew to a close, Xylot's voice echoed through the communication channels, laced with a mixture of rage and fear. "This is not over, humans," he hissed. "You have not seen the last of the Xenos Empire." Harrington's expression hardened as he addressed the Xenos commander. "I look forward to our next encounter, Fleet Admiral. You and your kind would do well to remember the might of humanity." The Xenos fleet, their pride stung by their second humiliating defeat at the hands of the human ships, regrouped and prepared for a renewed assault. Fleet Admiral Xyloth paced the bridge of the flagship, his mandibles clicking with a mixture of fury and determination. "Those humans have proven to be more formidable than we anticipated," he growled, his clawed hands clenching into fists. "But they will not escape us a third time. This time, we will crush them with the full might of the Xenos Empire." Xyloth turned to his lieutenants, his eyes glinting with a predatory gleam. "Mobilize the entire fleet. We leave no room for error. The humans will be annihilated." Aboard the human fleet, Commander Michael Harrington watched the Xenos vessels amass on the edge of their sensors, their massive armada a formidable sight to behold. He knew that this would be the decisive clash, a battle that would determine the fate of both their civilizations. "All ships, stand by," Harrington ordered, his voice calm and composed. "Prepare for the Xenos assault." The human vessels hovered in a tight formation, their advanced drive systems keeping them poised and ready to engage. Harrington's crew, steeled by their previous victories, waited with bated breath for the Xenos to make their move. Moments later, the Xenos fleet surged forward, their powerful engines propelling them towards the human ships with alarming speed. Weapons ports opened, and the air crackled with the charge of energy beams and missile salvos. "Open fire!" Xyloth roared, his mandibles clicking in triumph. "Destroy them all." The Xenos barrage slammed into the human vessels, their shields flaring as they absorbed the withering assault. But to the Xenos commander's growing disbelief, the human ships held their ground, their own weaponry unleashing a devastating counterattack. Precision energy beams lanced out, carving through the Xenos hulls with surgical precision. Missile after missile streaked towards their targets, detonating with concussive force that shattered the alien vessel's armor and defenses. "Impossible!" Xyloth howled, watching helplessly as his fleet sustained heavy casualties. "How can this be?" Harrington's expression remained impassive as he coordinated the human fleet's response, his tactical prowess shining through. The Xenos commanders had once again underestimated the capabilities of their human adversaries, and they were paying a heavy price for their arrogance. "All ships, maintain fire," Harrington commanded, his voice betraying a hint of satisfaction. "We must not allow them to regroup." The human vessels continued their relentless assault, their advanced weapon systems and defensive countermeasures proving to be a formidable match for the Xenos' overwhelming firepower. The Xenos ships, designed for sheer destructive power, struggled to overcome the humans' technological superiority. Xyloth's mandibles clicked in frustration as he watched his fleet crumble under the human onslaught. "Increase the firepower," he bellowed, his eyes wild with desperation. "We must break through their defenses." But the human ships remained steadfast, their compact frames and maneuverable thrusters allowing them to evade the Xenos' concentrated barrage. Harrington's crew, trained to operate in perfect synchronization, executed each maneuver with precision, their weapons fire carving deep into the Xenos' ranks. As the battle raged on, the Xenos commander's confidence began to waver, replaced by a growing sense of unease. They had come to crush the human upstarts, but instead they found themselves on the defensive, their vaunted technology and numerical superiority proving inadequate against the human superior tactics and firepower. Harrington observed the Xenos' growing disarray with a steely gaze, his mind already formulating his next move. He knew that the Xenos would not retreat easily, and that the true test of his fleet's capabilities was yet to come. "All ships, prepare to unleash the full might of our arsenal," he said, his voice tinged with a hint of anticipation. "The Xenos will soon learn the true power of humanity." The human vessels, their shields battered but still holding strong, prepared to deliver the decisive blow that would forever alter the balance of power in the galaxy. The battle raged on, the void of space echoing with the deafening roar of the Xenos' powerful weapons and the retaliatory fire from the human fleet. Xyloth, his mandibles clicking with a mixture of fury and desperation, watched helplessly as his armada sustained ever-mounting casualties. "This is unacceptable," the Xenos fleet admiral roared, his clawed hands gripping the armrests of his command chair. "How can these insignificant humans stand against the might of the Xenos Empire?" Beside him, his lieutenants exchanged uneasy glances, their own confidence shaken by the human fleet's relentless and devastating assault. The Xenos ships, once thought to be invincible, were being systematically dismantled by the compact but highly maneuverable human vessels. "Sir, we're losing ships faster than we can replace them," one of the lieutenants reported, his voice laced with unease. "Our defenses are being overwhelmed. We must fall back and regroup." Xyloth's eyes narrowed, his mandibles clicking in defiance. "Retreat? Absolutely not. We will not be driven from this system by these humans. He spat the word with disdain, his pride refusing to accept the possibility of defeat. "Then we must adapt our tactics," another lieutenant interjected, his tone cautious. "Perhaps if we concentrate our firepower and overwhelm their defenses." Xyloth's gaze hardened, a glimmer of calculation flickering in his eyes. Yes, that might work." He turned to his crew, his voice ringing with renewed determination. "All ships, close in and prepare to target the human vessels with our full firepower. We will break through their defenses, no matter the cost." Aboard the human fleet, Commander Michael Harrington watched the Xenos vessels shift their formation, their powerful engines propelling them towards the human ships with alarming speed. He knew that this was a pivotal moment, a test of his crew's skills and the capabilities of their advanced technology. "All ships, hold your position," Harrington ordered, his voice calm and steady. "Prepare to engage the Xenos with the full force of our arsenal." The human vessels, their hulls scared but their systems still functioning, braced themselves for the Xenos' concentrated assault. Harrington's crew, their nerves steeled by the previous battles, readied their weapons, their fingers poised on the triggers. As the Xenos ships closed in, their massive weapon arrays unleashing a devastating barrage, the human fleet exploded into action. Precision energy beams lanced out, carving through the alien hulls with surgical precision. Missile after missile streaked towards their targets, detonating with concussive force that shattered the Xenos' armor and defenses. Xyloth watched in disbelief as his fleet, once thought to be invincible, crumbled under the human onslaught. "Impossible!" he roared, his clawed hands tearing at the console before him. "How can this be?" But the human commander had anticipated the Xenos tactics, and his crew executed each maneuver with flawless coordination. The human ships darted and weaved, their advanced thrusters allowing them to evade the Xenos barrage, while continuing their relentless assault. Harrington's lips curled into a grim smile as he observed the Xenos panic. "They mocked the tiny fleet," he murmured, his voice tinged with a hint of satisfaction. "But now, they will learn the true power of humanity." The human vessels unleashed a devastating volley of weapons fire, their concentrated beams and missiles slamming into the Xenos ships with devastating effect. Hulls were rent asunder, shields collapsed, and entire vessels were reduced to burning wrecks. Psylocke's mandibles clicked in desperation as he watched his once mighty fleet crumble before the human onslaught. "Retreat," he bellowed, his voice laced with a mixture of fear and disbelief. "All ships, fall back immediately." The Xenos vessels, their engines straining to their limits, began a hasty withdrawal, their once proud formations now in disarray. Harrington's crew pursued them relentlessly, their weapons fire carving deep into the alien hulls as they desperately attempted to escape. As the Xenos fleet disappeared from the human sensors, Harrington turned to his crew, his expression a mixture of pride and resolve. "Well done, all of you," he said, his voice tinged with a hint of satisfaction. "We have sent a clear message to the Xenos Empire. Humanity will not be intimidated, and we will not back down in the face of their aggression." The crew erupted in a cheer, their spirits buoyed by their hard-won victory. Harrington knew, however, that this was only the beginning. The Xenos would return, and they would be better prepared. But for now, humanity had delivered a decisive blow, shattering the invincible image of their alien adversaries. The battered Xenos fleet, its once proud ships now reduced to burning wrecks, flood through the vast expanse of space, leaving a trail of destruction in their wake. Aboard the flagship HFY, Fleet Admiral Tyloth paced the bridge, his mandibles clicking furiously as he replayed the disastrous battle in his mind. "Unacceptable," he growled, his clawed hands clenching into tight fists. "How could we have been so thoroughly defeated by these humans underscore?" He spat the word with a mixture of disgust and disbelief, his pride wounded to the core. Beside him, his lieutenants remained silent, their own confidence shaken by the overwhelming power of the human fleet. They had witnessed firsthand the devastating capabilities of the human ships, their advanced technology and tactical prowess cutting through the Xenos' vaunted firepower with ease. Finally, one of the lieutenants, a seasoned veteran named Xoreth, spoke up. "Fleet Admiral, we must convene an emergency council meeting. The High Command needs to be informed of this development." Psylocke's eyes narrowed, his mandibles clicking in reluctant agreement. "Yes, you are right. We cannot keep this information from the High Command. They must know the full extent of the human threat." With a curt nod, Psylocke ordered the Xoreth to set a course for the Xenos homeworld, his mind racing with a whirlwind of thoughts and questions. How had these insignificant humans managed to amass such formidable capabilities? What was the true nature of their technology, and where had it come from? And most importantly, how could the Xenos Empire hope to defeat this unexpected adversary? As the Xenos fleet made its way back to their home systems, the High Command of the Xenos Empire convened in a hastily called emergency session. The news of the human fleet's decisive victories had spread quickly, sowing a sense of unease and uncertainty among the Xenos leadership. "This is unacceptable," roared Arkshan Sarath, the highest-ranking member of the High Command. "How can these humans these primitives, have the audacity to challenge the might of the Xenos Empire?" Xyloth, his mandibles clicking in deference, stepped forward to present his report. "Arkshan Sarath, the human fleet possesses capabilities far beyond what we had anticipated. Their ships are small, but they are equipped with advanced drive systems and weaponry that have proven devastatingly effective against our forces." The other members of the High Command murmured in uneasy agreement, Their brows furrowed in concentration as they processed the information. "This is most troubling," Xarath said, his voice laced with a mixture of concern and anger. "We cannot allow these humans to threaten the stability of the Xenos Empire. We must devise a plan to crush them once and for all." The discussion that followed was heated and impassioned, with the Xenos leaders debating the best course of action. Some advocated for a cautious, measured approach, seeking to gather more intelligence on the human fleet and its capabilities. Others, like Xarath, demanded a swift and decisive military response, unwilling to tolerate the existence of this newfound threat. Xyloth, still smarting from his defeats, argued vehemently for a massive mobilization of the Xenos forces. "We must strike the humans before they can amass their strength further," he insisted, his clawed hands clenching into fists. "We cannot afford to underestimate them again." The debate raged on, with its Xenos high command torn between their desire for vengeance and the need to approach the situation with caution. Ultimately, after hours of heated discussion, a compromise was reached. "We will dispatch a reconnaissance team to gather more intelligence on the human fleet and its capabilities," Xarath announced, his voice stern and unyielding. "In the meantime, we will begin mobilizing our forces for a potential retaliatory strike. We cannot allow these humans to continue threatening the Xenos Empire." Xyloth, his mandibles clicking in reluctant acceptance, nodded his head. "It shall be done, Archon Xarath. We will not rest until the humans have been crushed and their threat to our civilization has been eliminated." As the Xenos High Command dispersed, each member deep in thought, a sense of unease and uncertainty hung heavy in the air. The human fleet had proven to be a far more formidable adversary than anyone had anticipated, and the Xenos Empire now found itself facing a challenge that threatened to shake the very foundations of their long-established dominance. As the Xenos fleet retreated, their ships scared and battered from the relentless assault, Commander Michael Harrington stood on the bridge of the flagship Endeavour, his gaze fixed on the distant stars. The victory that had seemed so decisive just moments ago now weighed heavily on his mind, for he knew that the true test was yet to come. "Sir, the Xenos have withdrawn beyond our sensor range," reported Lieutenant Samantha Wilkins, her voice tinged with a mixture of relief and apprehension. "They're heading back towards their own territory." Harrington nodded, his brow furrowed in thought. "They'll be back, Lieutenant," he said, his tone somber. "We've only just begun this conflict, and the Xenos will not easily accept defeat." Wilkins met her commander's gaze, her eyes reflecting the same determination that burned within Harrington. "Then we'll be ready for them, sir. The crew is itching for another chance to show the Xenos the true might of humanity." Harrington allowed himself a slight smile, his respect for his crew's unwavering resolve evident in his expression. "I have no doubt of that, Samantha. But we must not let our guard down. The Xenos will return, and they will be better prepared." The young lieutenant nodded, her posture straightening as she turned her attention back to the sensor array. Harrington, too, refocused his thoughts on the task at hand, his mind racing with strategies and contingencies to ensure that the human fleet would be ready for the Xenos' inevitable retaliation. In the days that followed, the human vessels maintained a vigilant presence in the contested system, their advanced sensors sweeping the surrounding space for any sign of the Xenos' return. Harrington, ever the pragmatic commander, knew that the respite would be temporary, and that the Xenos would not be content to simply accept their defeat. As the crew continued to monitor the situation, Harrington reflected on the decisions that had led them to this point. He had known the risks involved in provoking the Xenos, but he also understood the importance of establishing a strong deterrent against their aggression. The safety of human colonies and trade routes depended on their ability to defend their territory, and Harrington was determined to ensure that the Xenos would think twice before attempting to expand their dominion. "Sir, we're picking up activity on the edge of the system." Wilkins' voice suddenly pierced the silence on the bridge. "It's the Xenos fleet, and they're heading straight for us." Harrington's expression hardened, his jaw set with determination. "All hands, battle stations, he ordered, his voice calm and authoritative. Prepare to engage the Xenos once more. The human vessels maneuvered into a tight defensive formation, their weapon systems primed and ready. Harrington watched as the Xenos ships approached, their powerful engines propelling them forward with alarming speed. "They're not holding back this time," he murmured, his eyes narrowing. "The Xenos have learned from their previous defeats, and they're coming at us with everything they've got." As the two fleets collided in a blaze of energy, Harrington coordinated the human vessel's movements and weapons fire with the precision of a master tactician. His crew, seasoned by their previous victories, executed each maneuver with flawless coordination, their advanced technology and training proving to be a formidable match for the Xenos' sheer firepower. The battle raged on, the void of space echoing with the thunderous detonations of missile strikes and the searing hum of energy beams. Harrington watched impassively as the Xenos ships sustained heavy casualties, their once proud formations crumbling under the relentless human assault. "They mocked the tiny fleet," he said, his voice tinged with a hint of satisfaction, "and now they will pay the price for their arrogance." As the Xenos fleet began its retreat, their battered vessels limping away from the human forces, Harrington knew that this was only a temporary respite. The Xenos would return, and they would be better prepared than ever before. But for now, the human commander took solace in the knowledge that his fleet had proven its worth, its technological superiority and tactical acumen shining through in the face of overwhelming odds. The Xenos would not underestimate them again, and Harrington was determined to use that to their advantage in the battles to come. "All ships, hold position and maintain vigilance," he ordered, his gaze sweeping across the bridge. "We may have won this battle, but the war is far from over." As the human vessels held their ground, their sensors tracking the retreating Xenos fleet, Harrington knew that the true test of their resolve was yet to come. But he was confident in his crew, in their skills and their determination, and he knew that they were ready to face whatever challenges the Xenos Empire might throw their way. The Xenos fleet, its once proud vessels battered and scarred, limped back to the Xenos homeworld, the weight of their humiliating defeat pressing heavily upon them. Fleet Admiral Sylov, his mandibles clicking with a mixture of fury and trepidation, strode onto the bridge of the flagship Sarith, his gaze sweeping across the faces of his lieutenants. "The humans have proven to be a far more formidable adversary than we had anticipated," he growled, his clawed hands clenching into fists. "Their technology, their tactics, their sheer determination, all of it has proven to be our undoing." Xerath, the seasoned veteran who had accompanied Sylov on the disastrous campaign, stepped forward, his expression somber. "Indeed, Fleet Admiral, we underestimated them, and it has cost us dearly. The High Command must be informed of this development." Sylov's eyes narrowed, his mandibles clicking in reluctant agreement. "Yes, you are correct. The High Command must know the full extent of the human threat. But how do we present this information without jeopardizing our standing within the Xenos hierarchy?" The other lieutenants exchanged uneasy glances, their own confidence shaken by the overwhelming power of the human fleet. They had witnessed firsthand the devastating capabilities of the human ships, their advanced technology and tactical prowess cutting through the Xenos' vaunted firepower with ease. "We cannot hide this from the High Command," Xerath said, his voice firm. "To do so would be a dereliction of our duty, and it would only serve to compound the damage to our reputation. We must face the consequences of our failure, no matter how unpalatable they may be." Xyloth's mandibles clicked with a hint of resignation. "Very well, Xerath. Summon the High Command. They must be made aware of the true nature of the human threat." Within hours, the Xenos High Command had convened in an emergency session, the gathered leaders of the Empire casting a critical eye upon the battered Xenos fleet. Archon Xerath, the highest-ranking member of the Council, fixed Hyloth with a piercing gaze, his mandibles clicking with barely contained fury. "Fleet Admiral Xylov, you have much to answer for," he growled, his clawed hands gripping the armrests of his chair. Your failure to defeat these _humans_ has brought shame upon the Xenos Empire. Explain yourself. Psyloth, his posture rigid with respect and trepidation, recounted the details of the disastrous engagements, his voice betraying a hint of the frustration and disbelief he had experienced in the face of the human fleet's overwhelming power. The humans possess technology that far exceeds our own, he concluded, his mandibles clicking with a mixture of anger and resignation. Their ships are small, but their weaponry and defensive capabilities are formidable. We were unprepared for the sheer skill and determination of their commander and his crew. The members of the High Command exchanged uneasy glances, their brows furrowed in deep thought. Arkshan Xarath's eyes narrowed, his gaze fixed upon Psyloth, with an intensity that bordered on accusation. "This is unacceptable," he growled, his voice laced with a dangerous edge. "The Xenos Empire cannot be seen as weak, not in the face of these upstarts. We must crush them, utterly and without mercy." But not all of the High Command were of the same mind. Zarva, a respected strategist and diplomat, raised a clawed hand, his expression thoughtful. "Arkshan Xarath, I understand your desire for swift retribution, but we must consider our options carefully. These humans have proven themselves to be a formidable adversary, and we cannot afford to underestimate them again." Xarath's mandibles clicked with disdain. "Zarva, you speak of caution in the face of such a blatant challenge to our authority. The Xenos Empire does not negotiate with lesser species. We conquer them." "Perhaps," Sarva replied, his voice level and measured, "but we must also consider the potential consequences of such an approach. If we move too hastily, we risk suffering further defeats at the hands of these humans. We must gather more intelligence, understand the full extent of their capabilities, before committing our forces to another confrontation." The debate raged on, the Xenos High Command torn between their desire for swift vengeance and the need to approach the situation with caution. Psyloth, his mandibles clicking with a mixture of frustration and uncertainty, watched the exchange, his mind racing with a whirlwind of thoughts and questions. How could these humans these insignificant creatures, have amassed such formidable capabilities? Where had their technology come from? And how could the Xenos Empire hope to counter it? The answers to these questions would determine the fate of not only the Xenos fleet, but the very future of the Empire itself. As the meeting drew to a close, a tentative compromise was reached. The High Command would dispatch a covert reconnaissance team to gather more intelligence on the human fleet and its commander, while simultaneously mobilizing their forces for a potential retaliatory strike. Psyloth, his gaze hardening with determination, nodded his head in acceptance. "It shall be done, Arkshan Xarath. We will not rest until the humans have been crushed and their threat to our civilization has been eliminated." The Xenos High Command, their pride still stinging from the humiliating defeats at the hands of the human fleet, had reluctantly agreed to a more cautious and measured approach. Instead of immediately launching a massive retaliatory strike, they had dispatched a covert reconnaissance team to gather intelligence on the capabilities and intentions of their unexpected adversaries. Fleet Admiral Psyloth, his mandibles clicking with a mixture of frustration and anticipation, oversaw the preparations for the mission. He knew that the Xenos could not afford to underestimate the humans again, and that the success of any future confrontation would hinge on their ability to understand the true nature of the human threat. "We must learn everything there is to know about these humans," Psyloth said, his gaze sweeping across the assembled team of seasoned Xenos operatives. "Their technology, their tactics, their command structure, all of it must be brought back to the High Command. Only then can we devise a plan to crush them once and for all." The reconnaissance team, led by the experienced agent Sarissa, nodded in acknowledgement. They understood the gravity of their mission, for the fate of the Xenos Empire now rested on their ability to penetrate the veil of secrecy surrounding the human fleet. "We will not fail, Fleet Admiral," Sarissa said, her voice laced with a quiet confidence. "The humans will have no choice but to reveal their secrets to us." With that, the team boarded their sleek, cloaked vessels and slipped into the void of space, their course set for the human-controlled system where the fateful battles had taken place. Aboard the flagship Endeavour, Commander Michael Harrington stood on the bridge, his gaze fixed on the distant stars. He knew that the Xenos would return, and that the next confrontation would be even more perilous than the last. "Sir, our sensors have detected unusual activity on the edge of the system," Lieutenant Wilkins reported, her voice tense with anticipation. "It appears to be a small, cloaked Xenos reconnaissance force." Harrington's brow furrowed, his mind already racing with the implications of this development. "Have they detected our position?" Wilkins shook her head, her expression grim. "No, sir. They seem to be conducting a systematic survey of the system, gathering intelligence. They've managed to evade our sensors thus far." Harrington nodded, his lips pursing in a thoughtful frown. "Very well. Maintain our current posture and continue monitoring their activity. I want to know the moment they make a move." As the human vessels remained vigilant, the Xenos reconnaissance team carefully navigated the system, their advanced sensors prodding every nook and cranny for any clues about the human fleet's capabilities and intentions. Sarissa, her mandibles clicking with a mixture of curiosity and caution, studied the data streaming in from her operatives. The humans had indeed proven to be a formidable adversary, their technology and tactics far exceeding anything that Xenos had encountered before. "This is most troubling," she murmured, her clawed fingers tapping against the console. "The High Command must be informed of what we have discovered." With a nod, Sarissa ordered her team to begin the return journey, their cloaked vessels slipping silently through the void of space. She knew that the information they carried would be met with a mixture of trepidation and resolve within the Xenos hierarchy, for the human threat had the potential to shake the very foundations of the Empire. Back on the Xenos homeworld, the High Command convened once more, their faces etched with a sense of unease as Sarissa presented her findings. "The human fleet possesses capabilities that far exceed our own," she reported, her voice betraying a hint of reluctance. "Their drive systems, their weaponry, their defensive countermeasures, all of it is beyond anything we have encountered before." Arkshan Zarath, his mandibles clicking with a mixture of anger and apprehension, leaned forward in his seat. "Then we must crush them without delay. The Xenos Empire cannot afford to have such a formidable threat to our dominance." But Sarva, the seasoned strategist, raised a clawed hand, his expression thoughtful. "Arkshan Zarath, I would caution against such recklessness. These humans have proven themselves to be a worthy adversary, and we must approach them with a measure of respect and caution." Zarath's eyes narrowed, his mandibles clicking in defiance. "Respect. For these _primitives _ unacceptable. We are the Xenos Empire, the masters of the galaxy. We do not _respect those who dare to challenge our authority." Xyloth, who had remained silent throughout the exchange, finally spoke up, his voice measured and resolute. "Arkshan Zarath, I must agree with Tarva. These humans have earned our respect, for they have demonstrated a level of technological and tactical prowess that we cannot ignore. To underestimate them again would be the height of foolishness." The High Command fell silent, the weight of Xyloth's words hanging heavy in the air. Zarath, his pride still wounded from the previous defeats, seemed poised to object, but a glance from Sarva silenced him. "Very well," the Arkshan said, his voice laced with reluctance. "We will proceed with caution, and we will seek to establish diplomatic channels with these humans. But make no mistake, if they prove to be a threat to the stability of the Xenos Empire, we will not hesitate to crush them with the full might of our forces." As the High Command adjourned, a new era of guarded respect and uneasy coexistence began to take shape between the Xenos Empire and the human fleet. The galaxy, once firmly under the Xenos dominion, now stood at the precipice of a profound shift in the balance of power with the fate of both civilizations hanging in the balance.